Hey everybody, it's your friend Dan. Welcome to episode 4 of 613 Creatives. Today I have with me an up-and-coming actor in the Ottawa area. She grew up here. She has helped out as a production assistant with Digi60, which many of you may have heard of. She's actively training as a professional actor, attending workshops, and being involved with acting classes and coaches. She's been involved with a few short films, including one of my own, which she knocked it out of the park. Has done a few commercials. She was selected to attend a Vegas program in 2012 for broadcasting and movie editing. And as many actors do, she is consistently dashing off to the big smoke for auditions. I'd like to welcome to the show today, Supreet Jaiswal. Hi, Supreet. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
So I'm gonna reiterate that one point. How I had you on my short film, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And you really put your talent on display there. So it was a big hit. The film has been a big hit thus far, in no small part to the excellent performances. So tell us a bit about yourself and about your journey. Let's kind of maybe start at the beginning. How did you get interested in acting?
Sure. So growing up, one of the biggest pastimes with me and my family was watching movies. We weren't really big on a lot of activities or going out a lot. So from a very young age, like my sister and I, we would only watch movies. And there was just something really interesting about like having your emotions turned and affected by what you saw on screen. And I felt like I connected with a lot of like just the fact that you can express yourself in different ways through cinema. But then after, when you kind of turn it off, you're so different in real life. And I feel like that's very much the same for me. Like I have all this confidence on screen. I can be sad, I can cry, I can be funny. But then kind of off camera, you're a completely different person. And I think I'm just one of those people that emotes a little bit better. And whatever I'm dealing with through the day, I can get it through, if I'm on camera playing it through somebody else, easier than if I can like get it done just as Supreet. So it's almost just easier to be someone else, kind of like an imposter syndrome. And it's fun and I love it. So I think I was about maybe 12 or 13 when I realized I really liked doing it and I wanted to. It started in high school, actually. We do like the morning announcements in high school, and I would do them on camera. So they would broadcast on the TV in every classroom. And I just had all this confidence. I'd sit up there, I'd say all the school announcements, like who the football team beat last night and who, what other announcements, what the cafeteria is selling. And I just felt like I had so much swag doing it. But then when I would get off the announcements and walk to like my first homeroom, I just had my head down and like no confidence. And like we all lack confidence in high school, but those first 15 minutes of the day were like my happiest. And that's when I sort of started to think, okay, like maybe there's a potential to make this hopefully like what I can do every day for the long haul.
Fantastic. See, I think that is a sign that you're really following your passion. You're really on the path that you're meant to be on, because a lot of people, most people that I know, they just clam up when a camera's on them. They hate being on camera. But if you like performing, if you like having an audience and performing and pretending and playing like that, if it really livens you up, then I think that's an excellent sign that that's your true passion. That's what you're meant to do, right?
Yeah, I remember my dad telling me once we had like some fashion show in high school and I had to MC it. And my parents were in the front row And I was just emceeing it, introducing all the groups, cracking jokes with like the parents in the audience. And I remember my dad being like, I had no idea you were so good at like public speaking and like you were so confident and comfortable on the microphone. Like I just, it was a different kid I saw on stage. It wasn't like my kid that I know at home. And I actually had simultaneously kind of like a family friend at the time who had just gotten into modeling. And that's when I had learned like agencies exist. Before that, I had no idea how people got into acting. I just thought you had to like be discovered on the street. Someone's going to walk up to you one day and be like, you look really good. You should be in movies. So, yeah.
Wow. And thus the actor was born. That's fantastic that you've had that support behind you, pushing you forward. That's great. Now how about we'll bring us up to speed on where you are today, some of the things that you're working on.
Yeah, so right now it's really just trying to be as immersed in the Ottawa film and Toronto film community. I know there's a lot going on with short films and independent films. Like, you can't just rely on an agent to bring you movies and series and kind of those meatier parts. You have to get experience, and the relationships and networking you build from a lot of the people in the community. It's invaluable, right? Like you can get so much from it. So while I'm kind of always auditioning, I'm always on like a last minute train to Toronto somewhere, trying to do like a 2-second audition and then make my way back to Ottawa. I am kind of actively working with people just in local communities to see how you can participate. And it could be anything from on camera to like production, right? Like even with DG60, my job was just to like make sure they had props and make sure the actors signed the sign-in sheet. But from that, I met like some really cool people behind the scenes. I made good relationships with people who I still stay in touch with. And you kind of have to appreciate all aspects of the craft. You can't just silo yourself into one because it's a team effort. So I'm just getting into it kind of now because I had some time in between where I felt like it was just easier to kind of pursue once I lived alone. Once, you're working, you're making your own money. It's really expensive to constantly go back and forth to Toronto. So you kind of have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet to pursue this kind of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you've certainly channeled that confidence. And as you were saying, even the smallest opportunities, even the smallest things, opportunities that may not go anywhere or lead to anything, can lead to bigger and better opportunities. So yeah, I think it's great, and it's probably good advice for other actors out there who may be listening. That as an old actor friend used to tell me, it's like, do everything. You want to get involved in film. You want to get your voice heard. You want to. I wasn't trying to be an actor. I was trying to be a director, but he said just do everything. No matter what, because you never know where it may lead. Right. So, so that's fantastic advice. So, I know we were chatting at Kino last month, where Judgment Day premiered, and you mentioned that you had an audition for a water commercial.
Yeah, I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So the self-tape experience is much easier because you're just literally filming it on your phone or whatever you've got at home, and it's minimal instruction you get, right? They're just like, drink water and look satisfied. So, but give us 4 different takes. So I don't know, you kind of have to work on like, what does satisfaction look like when drinking water? So I sent in the self-tape, and then like 2 weeks later, they were like, we need to see you tomorrow at noon, and we're going to get you to do an audition. And I was like, oh my God. So I book a train, I go, and I thought that because it was like a second round interview, there would be more to do. I walk in, and they have a jug and a glass of water, and they're like, pour yourself some water. So I did. And they're like, now look into the camera, drink it, and look satisfied. And so I did one take. So far, between me entering the building and doing this take, it's been like 40 seconds. It took me in right away. And so as soon as I say like, "Hey, it's Supreet Jaiswal," I sip the water, do my satisfaction, and they're like, "Great, thank you.
And
You
that's
can go."
and that's it.
And that's it. You can't, no qualms about it. You can't complain. You can't
Nope.
ask questions. You know, you did your part. Go back to Union Station and get on a train home.
Another 5 hours back to Ottawa.
Exactly. Exactly.
For 45 second. But yeah, that's the game, right? That's the game you play as an actor, right? It's all these that's the hustle, as they say. Right? You just gotta do everything, no matter how small, and be persistent. I think it was Harrison Ford he was giving advice to young actors and stuff like that. He said anybody, if you get even a little bit of talent, he said like just about anybody can get in, but get into acting. But the problem is that people aren't persistent enough. You have to be, not only do you have to have the talent. I mean, obviously, if you have talent, you're going to go somewhere. But it's persistence. Persistence is so important. And a lot of people, they just get discouraged and they don't believe in themselves and they give up. But he says, like, if that's what you want to do, is just persist. Like, eventually, someone will notice you. Eventually.
Yeah.
It's
might not be right away.
Yeah, it might not be right away.
Eventually.
It would be right away if you're lucky, but
Yeah, I agree. I remember when I came home that night. Actually, I came back and right from VRL, I came to the premiere from Judgment Day, and I was so exhausted. And I remember that night, I got home and I sent a voice note to my friend Katie, and I was like, as tired and hungry and awful I feel right now from just the nonstop travel. If you told me to get on a train tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. for another 2-minute audition, I would do it. Because I love it. And like small is relative, like I'm sure a lot of people would say or look at kind of what I've done thus far and say like, you haven't really done much. You've just done one opportunity. But there's so many people out there that could look at that and be like, I wish I could even have done that. So, the benchmark's different for everybody. As long as you are loving it and you're having fun and you feel good about it, then who cares if it's small or big? It's making impact to you on the inside.
Yeah, and that's a big motivator, right?
Yeah.
That's a big motivator. And I mean, obviously, it's clear that you have the drive. I know from my personal experience, I know like I can't do anything I'm not interested in. Like if I'm loving it, if I'm enjoying it, then I know this is what I'm meant to do. Right. So I think that goes the same for actors as well as directors and any facet of filmmaking that you want to get into. If you're really enjoying what you're doing, do it. Tell us a bit about this. I'm not familiar with this Vegas program that you mentioned. Tell us a little bit about that. What's that all about?
Yeah, so with the high school announcement thingy that we were doing, our broadcasting teacher was very well connected in kind of in broadcasting, in kind of like IT and graphics, movie editing, video editing. He was kind of like an IT whiz. He was such a supportive man. His name was Gary Chalmers. And so he had approached myself and someone else and said, like, I think you could have a career in some realm, in some form, to do with being on camera or behind the scenes. I just feel like this industry is for you guys. I actually have a budget to take a couple students to Vegas, which I guess now kind of seems weird. Take a couple kids to Vegas to like a conference where they discuss, like one day they'll discuss editing animation, movie editing, film editing, how to make a movie trailer, like camera equipment, sound equipment another day, and just kind of like an overview of the industry. And it took all my teachers individually calling up or meeting my parents to convince them, because they were like, absolutely not are we sending her to Vegas. She's 15.
Yeah.
But they were just like, she's fine. She's doing fine in her classes. We see her every morning on camera. This seems like it could be something. So after a lot of tears and begging, I got to go. And it was great. I got really sick, but it was great.
You got really sick? You get sick in Vegas?
I got
Cl-
sick. I guess the desert just didn't work well with my
uh,
sinus. And also it's a pretty scary place if you're like 15. I didn't understand like what was happening on the strip, like why the people were the way they were. Like I didn't know. But
because it's
I
Vegas.
just yeah, it was very scary, but I learned a lot. And I think just had all these signs that this could be something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. So what was your takeaway from the experience? What did you pick up? What did you learn?
One thing I took back that I still kind of hold really close to my heart is that I love editing. And like, so when I came back, I remember I downloaded CapCut and Windows Movie Maker back in the day. And I would download as many clips of like Harry Potter movie trailers or scenes of the movie, and I would make my own movie trailers. And it was just something I loved doing so much. And
Nice.
just that, like, you've got a minute or two to kind of summarize a movie, make it appealing. You need a song that's going to amp it all up. How are you going to do it? You don't want to tell too much, but you also need to entice people to want to pay to see it, and sit for a minimum of an hour and a half in a chair and watch it. And so that was kind of my biggest takeaway. It's like, okay, if not on camera, I really like this too.
Hmm. That seems to like further evidence of your passion for this industry.
Yeah.
You wanted to create, and it was a different kind of performance in a way,
Hmm.
and really showcasing your love for movies. So that's
Hmm.
awesome. I've had a similar experience. I remember the little shorts that one of the short films that I did back in high school. I was like making trailers of it, and just kind of picturing myself as this Hollywood person. It was just this thing that was on the local uh, cable station and the local film festival. But here I was so proud, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a trailer and get other people interested," and da 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 da. And I remember the first cut. Somebody told me, said, "It just gives away the whole story. What are you doing? You got to recut
Mm.
that." So that was my first lesson. That yeah, you gotta kind of sometimes when you're doing things like that, you gotta subvert expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from Judgment Day, you've been involved in other short films.
I
Yeah.
have nothing that's been submitted for a festival. It's mostly just been like for friends who did pursue um, acting, not acting, sorry, like directing and producing, like through school. I had a couple friends who took journalism as well at Carleton, and so they kind of did a few short films on the side, for, like as a hobby. And so they just needed someone to, I took it really seriously. I don't think they kind of thought much of it, but you take every opportunity you can and think of it like it's a big one, and treat it that way. So even though it was just like half a page of like dialogue, I would sit there and just like memorize it. Like you saw me on Judgment Day. I would just,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like chatting up and I would have my eyes closed and like memorizing my lines, trying so hard to make sure I say the right words. Um, so just kind of like here and there for fun. Nothing kind of as big as Judgment Day was my first kind of real on set, and like it's the power of editing is everything. Because I remember
Mm-hmm.
Musa and I were like, how is it going to look like we're really talking to each other and have like a cohesive flow? And then when you see the final product, I'm like, it looks like I'm really pissed at him. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, that was your performance. I mean, you really did. I noticed. I noticed on set you were taking it seriously for sure, and I thought that was amazing. Sure, the editing, put everything together in a cohesive back and forth, but yeah, I mean, you could tell even just while we were shooting, it's like, oh my god, it's like she's really pissed off at him.
I think I
So.
told you like, we like created a whole backstory, and you kind of have to. I was like, okay, I skipped my shift at Emerge because he cheated on me, and that just immediately was like, that's all I need. I'm mad. Like, yeah, we're taking this guy down.
Taking him down a peg. No, that's
100%.
awesome. That's awesome because I really appreciated that because the other shorts that I've done, the premise didn't really, I think, come across to the audience as clearly as I would have liked it to, like what I was trying to say with the film. Maybe it did, I don't know, but just from the general feedback that I've gotten, That was an area that I was really, struggling with. And I think a lot of filmmakers, that's their key. That's the goal. That's the big goal
Yeah.
for every filmmaker, and also the most difficult one to achieve. And but when you have good performances like yours, it you know this Judgment Day was the first time that I ever had somebody from the audience like go, "Is this is what you were going for, wasn't it?" Da 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 da. And I'm like, "That's exactly right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You get it." And
Yeah.
it's the performances. I've heard before that a bad performance can make or break a movie, and your performance and Musa's performance. I mean, you guys really brought it. I'm very grateful for that because it really, the premise actually shined through. So
Yeah. I mean, it's all the direction from you too, right? Because I remember there was one line where I was getting the line and it was not bad, but I remember you telling me you were like, she feels like she could be busted here. And I was like, okay. And you were like, you almost want her to be on the brink of being like, oh shoot, like is he on to me? I don't want him to bring this up. How do I flip it back on him? And so then we kind of changed the body language for her to like back up a little bit, kind of look side to side, not make eye contact. And then at Kino, when I forget, some gentleman approached you and I and was like, I mean, I thought it was going to be him the whole time. Like, I never expected it was her. I was like, oh my God, mission complete. Like,
yeah,
you hit it out of the park. The point was for you to think it's all him and not suspect her, and that's only going to come from her being able to really lay it thick on this guy.
yeah. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Judgment
Oh
Day,
yeah,
but
sorry.
that's all right.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Also, why haven't you watched it already?
Yeah, really, people, come on.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. It's a short, so I'm not too worried about spoilers. They'll just make people more curious to see. It's like, oh, what is this thing? Yeah, that's fantastic, and thank you for the feedback on my directing. In film school, one of the components that we had was directing the actor, and you had to put yourself in the actor's shoes, and that was such a helpful thing because I mean, sure, a director will rely on the editor and the director of photography, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but the key relationship, I think, is the strongest bridge should be between the director and the actors. And if an actor and director can form a great bridge of communication, then the whole production is just elevated so much. It just elevates the material so much. So that's good advice for actors. Form a good form good communication, a good bridge, a good working relationship with the director, and if you can, as long as he's not belligerent.
And like ask questions. Like I think
Yes.
directors would appreciate it, right? Like ask them, just show them the line you're struggling with or the scene and say, hey, here's how I'm seeing it. How are you seeing it? And hopefully, everyone's there for the same goal, which is to make this a success. So they're going to appreciate that you're working to make this work, this scene look authentic. So ask them, even if they are belligerent or if they seem like they're not approachable, be like, I need help and I need you to explain to me why she's so upset in this scene or why is she kind of saying it this way? Because feedback is going to help you perform. And the last thing you want is to walk away from it not feeling good about what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it was Ron Howard. I did a master class with Ron Howard one time, and obviously from his perspective, it's beneficial to come from an acting background. So if you have an acting background, that says a lot. Like that can really be a great asset if you're looking to get into directing, because you've seen both sides, and you can have that back, and you can have that. The communication is almost flawless. You can almost read your mind, read each other's minds. So we'll have to wrap up shortly. So you're sort of relatively in the early stages of your
Yeah.
acting career. But obviously, you're in it. You're in the thick of it.
Mhm.
What sort of advice would you give to others who were interested in acting?
I think the biggest advice, and it's advice I got too, is it just don't think about what your 9 to 5 is, how old you are. Don't think about what city you come from. Don't stress about, I don't live in Toronto, New York, or LA. Whatever you've got going on in your town, participate. Like if you're doing it, if you're acting in a play, in theater, in a small commercial, a short film, you're already acting. You're already doing what you're passionate about. And the more active you are, you will get opportunities that kind of, make you feel like you're kind of working on your skill set. Like the best advice I can give is to just do it because it took me a while to do it, but no one can convince you to do it really until you feel that kind of hunger in your belly. You're going to get to a point, you might wait a year, wait 10 years, wait 30 years, but you're going to get to a point where you're like, I'm not happy. And it's because I'm not doing what I love. And so find ways to be involved. Reach out to people in your network. There are so many people on my network that do participate in these kind of things on the side that I had no idea about. And I only found out because I opened up to them. Like, you might not know this about me, but I'm really interested in acting. And this is my passion. And you don't know what they do on the side. You don't know who they might know. So I know it's not easy to scream it out from the rooftop sometimes that you want to be in this kind of industry. A lot of people might have opinions and judgment about it, but just, be part of it. And don't worry if it's a movie or a big commercial or something that, oh, it's not going to be substantial. It's if you're doing it and you will, in any capacity, you are an actor.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic advice. Absolutely fantastic. So, if somebody wanted to hire you for your project, how would they get a hold of you? You have an agent?
I do have an agent. Yeah, I'm with Filmcom Talent in Toronto. Her name is Melissa Rock. She's wonderful. She keeps me really, really busy and she keeps me honest. She gives me lots of great feedback and advice. So if someone wanted to reach me, they could obviously go through Filmcom and from through Melissa. But I'm definitely active on a lot of social media too. So
Okay.
always feel free to reach out. I'm actively looking for opportunities and I'm always open to hearing about anything that you think I could be, collaborating on with.
So remember that name, people. Supreet Jaiswal. She brings it. You want a talented actress for your production. She may be just what you're looking for. So everybody out there listening, please provide us some feedback, the kinds of things that you want to hear. The purpose of 613 Creatives is to bring together, get to know, network the creative talent of the Ottawa region of Eastern Ontario, and there's no reason why we can't make the region known for its prolific talent
Absolutely.
that exists out here. So please, if you know somebody, an actor, a filmmaker, somebody who has that fire in their belly and is excited and passionate about their craft, please share this. Share this podcast, and there'll be much more content to come. Some of our upcoming guests have been involved with the in the special effects industry. I have an upcoming guest who was responsible for some of a lot of the special effects in Supernatural. He comes
One of
from
my favorite
BC.
shows.
Yeah.
I've actually got a picture up above me right now of me hugging Sam right above me right now.
Oh, from a Comic-Con?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
came to Toronto and I'm Sam, Dean, and Castiel.
yeah.
The look on my face, I've never been happier, clearly.
Oh, Sam and Dean. I was just about to ask you, are you Team Sam or Team Dean? But it seems like you're Team both. I just want to thank my audience as well. Thank you so much for your support thus far. And please keep listening. Share, like, subscribe. New episodes will be coming out every Monday. And please check out our other episodes. We try to change things up, hit lots of different topics, lots of different types of filmmaking professionals, including acting. And having said that, thank you so much, Supreet, for being on the show today. I certainly hope our listeners out there have some great takeaways from this, and it's maybe lit a fire inside you if you have the passion for acting. And Supreet gave us some great advice. So I can't say enough good things about her professionalism and her performance. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks again, Supreet, and thank you everyone. And be sure to tune in next time.